Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by, and welcome to another edition of AA, Adaptation Application. Here, I share my thoughts on how well an original or an already established story has been adapted into a new or an updated medium. And today, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on how well Tom Clancy's novel, Clear and Present Danger, was adapted into the 1994 movie. Spoiler warning, alright? If you have not watched the movie, if you have not read the novel, or done both, stop this video right now, because I am going to give away relevant plot details, alright? Now, so if you haven't read the book, or if you haven't watched the movie, or in my opinion, what you should do is read the novel, then watch the movie, stop this video right there, right here, right now. Go back and do both or one or the other. Alright? You've been warned. Okay, I'm going to admit something. Tom Clancy as an author, while his books are entertaining, they're difficult to get into because a lot of the things that ended up happening, they take a long time to get the ball rolling. And with this particular novel, for me, I didn't really start getting more interested in things until, I got to the 200th page, which, yeah, that's pretty long, But despite all this, Tom Clancy's novels have a lot of interesting thoughts and ideas, and his novels can be really hard to adapt into movies, which is one of the reasons why I feel Jack Ryan has not taken off as popular as I think he had in the movies as he has with people that read the novels. So, with all that said, I'm just going to state this right here, right now. Clear and Present Danger is my favorite of the adaptations. Do I think it's the best? Well, we'll find out. We'll find out later on. But why is this my favorite of his adaptations? Quite frankly, the way things are summarized in the movies are done to perfection. For example, the plot of the movie revolves around the president's friend, whom is a rich businessman. His friend and his family were murdered on a yacht, and then it's later discovered that this business person was actually was partnered with a Colombian drug cartel member. And the president is so angry with this that he actually indirectly tells one of the heads of basically, the NSA, that basically he wants to have a drug war, a covert, secret drug war against people of that cartel who killed his friend. And when it's discovered that the president's friend was kind of working with these drug cartel members, the president wants the money that his friend has. So right away in the movie, you see that the president is corrupt and evil and is pulling the strings of everything that's occurring. Where in the novel, they make the president seem more incompetent and more basically led on by basically people in his staff, particularly National Security Advisor James Cutter, right? Whom is actually the major antagonist of the novel, And the thing is, it's Cutter is kind of Weasley and everything, but he also makes himself look incompetent at points when he's addressing, Bob Ritter and Judge Arthur Moore, Whereas in the movie, Cutter is not Weasley, but he is manipulative, and he is more of an enforcer, an intellectual enforcer, but an enforcer nonetheless. So that's one thing. Another thing that they actually simplified was how they got the operatives into Colombia. there was a whole controversy, about how certain Hispanic, elite or special forces members were actually being taken from their bases and given BS excuses and BS reasonings, causing people to try to do an investigation about why they've been taken out, how come they're not reported at this place where they were supposed to be reported. A lot of that stuff was really unnecessary and kind of dragged the book down. In the movie, they didn't go through all that, which, thank God. All we needed to see was who was picked and why, and then where they were taken off to. One thing about the movie that the movie tried to do, which it kind of failed to, where the novel did succeed, is basically solidify that mentor-mentee, father-son-like relationship between Rear Adams James Greer and Jack Ryan. One thing in the movie, in Hunt for Red October, you kind of got an idea of the mentor-mentee relationship between Greer and Ryan, but in Patriot Games, they minimized that to basically Greer's Ryan's boss, and he just needs to nudge Ryan a little bit more instead of guiding him. Here, they reestablished that mentor-mentee, father-like, son-like relationship, but it does seem kind of weird given that Harrison Ford looks like he's in his, I think he was actually in his mid-40s at this time period, so he really shouldn't be having or need that guidance, especially if you're in a high-up position in government, let alone, a covert agency like the CIA. So, while they brought it back, the book did establish that a little bit better, and it was more sympathetic. And, top it off, well, in the novel, when Ryan did not go to James Greer's funeral, that was much more of a shock as opposed to in the movie where Ryan was at James Greer's funeral. But it was done in the movie. They had to do it that way so that Jack Ryan has more of a priority and more of a drive to push further to find out the truth about what's going on, because Ryan, as a deputy director of intelligence, should be aware of what's going on with this covert operation, but he is not. And speaking about which, the people that they made the villains in the movie, they made them clear, cut, and dry, and, you're seeing the pieces of the puzzle being put together, and it's being done so in a really effective way, as opposed to the novel where, there's really only one major villain, but, the other people are pretty much just following along orders, but they realize the errors of their ways and realize that they can actually go to jail. Which, basically, what I'm getting at is that in the movie, excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me for that. In the novel, basically, you have Admiral John Cutter, right? Whom is actually the major villain in both the movie and the novel, right? However, in the movie, Cutter is not the only villain. The president is a villain. Cutter is a villain. And Bob Ritter is a villain. Now, Bob Ritter is excellent as a bad guy in the movie, but I have to say that there's more animosity and hostility between Ritter and Ryan in the novels over the years. And, even though the movie does a good job of displaying that, at the end resolution in the novel, where basically Ritter and Judge Arthur Moore, who was the head of the CIA at the time, basically, they realized what they did was wrong, and they actually had to go to Ryan for help to clean everything up, where as opposed to in the movie, Ritter and Cutter are in cahoots with each other all the way to the end, and Ryan is the one that ends up basically exposing them, and you don't see that Ryan and Ritter leave on amicable terms. One thing that I really didn't like about the movie, however, is the portrayal of Myra. Now, in the movie, she's Myra Wolf, but in the novel, she's Myra Wolfson. Now, in the novel, she's more sympathetic because she is a widower, and she actually has a new boyfriend after her husband's died. Well, she's a widow, sorry. And unaware that the person that she's shacking up with is a former Cuban intelligence agent who's working for the cartel, who has used her to get information. And when she finds out about this, she feels really bad for bundling this and causing the death of her boss. She tries to commit suicide. While the suicide attempt fails and people at the agency are more understanding about her, she plays a very important part in identifying that agent, whom is called Felix Cortez. Whereas in the movie, Myra is portrayed as man-hungry, ditzy, and is a friend of Kathy Ryan, which she does not know Kathy Ryan in the novel. And in the movie, they actually kill her off. Well, Cortez kills her, which I really feel that I feel cheapened by, because Myra was a very important part of the novel, and I wish she had that importance in this movie as well. Finally, let me go into John Clark. You know, if there's a breakout person in both the book and the movie, it's John Clark. John Clark is a badass, right? And, you know, he is basically intimidating, man of few words, man of action. You want something done, you get John Clark. Clark is the one that figures out that basically he is being used by the CIA and basically approaches Ryan right when Admiral Greer dies. Where in the movie, basically Admiral Greer recommends to Ryan to see John Clark about some things. And then, you know, John Clark is portrayed more calculative and crafty in the novel, but in the movie, he comes off as a bit of a hothead and easy to manipulate, where basically he finds out that he loses contact with the covert ops in Colombia, and basically it is Ritter and Cutter that tell him that Ryan blew the operation, but then Ryan is the one that's automatically going to him with no backup, nothing at all. I think Clark could have realized that, why is this guy risking his own ass to come after me when I'm trying to kill him, as opposed to these two guys telling me something in the comfort of their own office. Nah, but that part aside, basically, when you see Willem Dafoe play Clark, oh, when he's in action, pure badassery. So, all in all, I gotta say that the adaptation, it did its thing, you know. It actually made the novel come off a lot better by changing a few things. Well, no, they changed a lot of things, and they made it easier to follow, but how much they had to cut out and change kind of goes to show that while the novel was decent, there was a lot that they could have taken out to make it more interesting, and something that this movie did. Do you agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave, or on Twitter at Token Dave 80. Subscribe, and ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. I'll catch all of you later.